A few months ago, when I found out I was going to be speaking to you about this topic, I had a nightmare. I dreamt that someone from the audience came running in and pushed me off the stage. You see, I'm going to be speaking to you about kindness and business. Do you ever hear these two words together? There can be a little skepticism with the combination. In my dream, I could feel the resistance of this person to the idea that kindness can be a guiding force in business. And of course, as it was my dream, it was my own resistance. Why do we resist to this idea that businesses can be kind? This encounter of kindness and business? Well, I think the simplest answer is because we have all been burned. We have all had a bad experience. We've all had bad customer service or a low-quality product sold to us via feel-good marketing. And the issue of kindness and business is not just, of course, about customer service and marketing. We think of worse things. We're thinking of companies who pollute the earth and the sea. We hear of bullying in the workplace, or we read of lack of financial transparency in companies. No wonder we are skeptical. Now, because I coach and work with entrepreneurs, I'm interested in this not just as a consumer, but from the business side. And we can look at this in another way. What is business? Business is a social activity. It is one of the biggest platforms of social engagement that we humans have. We spend a huge part of our lives involved in businesses. We work in them or invest in them, we buy from them. And it is us who inject human qualities into them. Now, some say that kindness is a soft skill. And I think it is. It is a soft power that we must unapologetically use more of. Famous evolutionary biologist Stephen Jay Gould said that violence, sexism, and general nastiness are biological, since they represent one subset of a possible range of behaviors. But peacefulness, equality, and kindness are just as biological, and we may see their influence increase if we can create social structures that permit them to flourish. Kindness comes from empathy, from being able to put ourselves in the shoes of others. And I believe that we can intentionally create kindness in business, that we could put kindness at the core of our business models. I would like to speak to you about an experience I have had where I have been leading a happiness project group, which has given me the amazing experience to see how social structures can be formed to create empathy and reciprocity. And you may ask yourselves, well, what does a happiness project group have to do with business? Well, let me give you an example. Say someone from the group, let's call her Anna, comes and says that she has had a conflict at work. Well, we all put our heads together and we tell stories of times that we had a conflict at work. And we all say, well, there are some simple actions that you can take to become happier. That is the essence of our groups, simple actions to create a result. We all brainstorm for simple ideas that this person can take. For example, she can research and use more effective language, or she can learn how to put better personal boundaries, or she can reframe how she views her boss, or she can gather support of other colleagues. Now, when we put our head together, we bring online resources, we bring advice, we bring our own insights, which not only helps Anna, but helps the entire group. And ultimately, of course, it is up to Anna to take these simple actions to become happier. But just like in a business setting, the group environment really matters. A person may be driven or be inspired to take action if the organization provides for them the systems, the spaces, and the technology where people can get together, resolve problems using empathetic thinking. Now, are there companies out there who are already creating social structures and business systems that foster empathy and kindness to create growth? More importantly, is it creating profits that we can measure? You bet. Here is the Empathy Index. These are the top 15 companies of the Empathy Index. Published in the Harvard Business Review, it takes into consideration internal culture, employee reviews, CEO performance, ethics, sustainability ratings, and social media interactions of 170 companies in major financial indexes. Now, the top companies have increased in market value twice as fast as those at the bottom, which means that kindness is a competitive edge. Facebook, Google, these are all global companies, but the biggest or the smallest company in the world has a big impact on societies and communities, and therefore the decisions taken inside them affects all of us. Now, we as humans have an innate ability to be kind, but sometimes it needs to be reinforced. So let's do like we do in the Happiness Project group. I will give you 3 simple actions that you can take. If you are somehow involved with a business, if you're an employee, if you're an investor, if you're somehow related to a business, you can take these 3 actions as a tool to inject kindness into it. First one, open your wings. This is very simple. We need to create those social structures. We need to create those business systems that drive kindness into the business. We cannot say it's not my job, because it's everyone's job. The first place of the Empathy Index won by Facebook was won because of the Empathy Lab, a lab inside Facebook that was created by a team of engineers who wanted to make sure that the app can be used by people with physical disabilities. It's engineering with empathy. And we can all do something like this. There's many other examples. There's employees who have started meditation clubs to reduce burnout and to increase self-compassion. There are leaders who let employees work in projects not related to the short term, but that will build the future, what comes next, what we can't even imagine now. So, it takes entitlement and personal power, stepping into your personal power. How are you going to create those social structures, those business systems? How are you going to open your wings? Second action, own what you sell. This one's easy, right? It's about responsibility. Responsibility for using empathy and kindness in all of our decisions. And stopping in our tracks if we have to. Take a company who has a project but pulls out of this project because it may create ecological damage or ecocide. How does such a company get created? Well, the people in the company have to step into the shoes of the people in the community. They have to look at kindness as their North Star. And they have to go on an empathy journey together with their customers, their employees, and those communities, and engage in authentic dialogue. At the end, they will do what's good for the business and also for society. Kindness, like any new habit, may feel awkward at first. And it takes real intention and repetition for it to feel natural. A third action, tell the truth and tell the world. The more good stories that you create, the more kindness you plant inside your organization, the more you can tell the world. And this is also about transparency. Trust comes from being open up front. Now, one such story that I personally love is what some supermarkets are doing to serve families with autistic children. In the US, in the UK, in Finland, they open the stores exclusively for these families so that they can have a less stimulating environment, so that they can shop in silence. It's priceless for those parents. And the good news is that if you are one of these businesses who acts empathetically, you become an influencer in your industry, and other companies follow you. Isn't that great? Now, that was your action plan for those of you who are involved somehow in a business. But what about us as consumers? And we are all consumers. Consumers are the biggest moving part in all of the interlocking parts of a business. But before I give you your action as a consumer, I do want to make clear that the purpose of injecting kindness into business is not to create positive feelings on us, the consumers, so we buy more. The purpose of injecting kindness into business is to create positive behaviors inside companies. That will create a chain reaction out of the businesses and into society. So, your one action to take is to ask for kindness. Consumers need to tell the companies that we want a real connection, that we want to feel that there is a good and positive impact in our lives and in our communities. And businesses need a mandate from us. So yes, complain, email, post in social media, blog, suggest new ways that businesses can be kind to us. And especially educate yourself, be a conscious consumer. And it's a two-way street. So give feedback to those that are on the right track. Give encouragement to those companies that are being kind. Back to my nightmare. Today, I don't feel resistance anymore. I know that we as human beings have the ability to be empathetic in all of our relationships. And I know what happens when a group of us gets together and takes action. I have no doubt that we can intentionally make decisions with kindness in business. And we have more than enough proof that kindness is viral, that kindness is a competitive edge, and that kindness is great for business. So join the movement and spread this idea and do your part to put kindness into businesses today. Thank you.